Welcome to Motor City UK. I'm Rob Capaldi. If you've been listening to the series so far, you'll know we've spent a lot of time exploring Coventry's automotive story. From the birth of the motor industry through the post-war boom years and into the changing fortunes of manufacturing across the second half of the 20th century. A key part of the ongoing story of the city's relationship with the car is the automotive culture embedded into the fabric of the city today. Every year, Coventry MotoFest brings thousands of enthusiasts, families, engineers, competitors, collectors and volunteers together in the heart of the city. Coventry's streets become a celebration of everything from historic vehicles and a concours competition to motorsport, education and future careers. We met with James Noble, the festival director of Coventry MotoFest, in episode 2, and it became clear while discussing with him that the event and car culture in the city is about so much more than just the machines. It's about the people that surround them, the people preserving Coventry's automotive history, the people teaching the next generation of engineers and technicians preserving essential skills for the future of the industry, people involved in motorsport, the numerous volunteers working to preserve the heritage brands. So for this episode, rather than focusing on one particular story, vehicle or manufacturer, we're going to spend some time walking around MotorFest Classic that took place last weekend, meeting these people working hard to ensure that Coventry's relationship with the motorcar remains a part of the city's future, as well as its past. And there seemed no better place to begin than with somebody whose own career has been closely tied to the industry.
I'm Councillor Roger Bailey, the Lord Mayor of Coventry.
So what brings you to the cathedral ruins today?
The reason we're here is because I used to work in the car industry and I love cars. I mean, cars is the heart, the beating heart of the city of Coventry during the 20th century. And to see all the people walking around here and look at all the nostalgia. We're standing next to an XJS at the moment. I remember these being built. Got an E-Type on the other side. I remember the last E-Types coming off production line because I was working at Jaguar in the early 1970s. So it's nostalgia. It's bringing the smile to people's faces.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. What do you think of MotorFest as an event to celebrate that rich history we have in the automotive sector?
It is amazing. I don't know what we do without the organisers behind MotorFest. They're bringing Coventry alive. It's given us a spot in the media across the whole country. There's thousands of people coming here today, even though it might rain. They come here for nostalgia. There's smiles on people's faces, smiles on children's faces. This is an amazing event. I love it so much.
What does the future hold for the automotive sector in Coventry? Do you think that we've got an exciting future ahead of us?
Yeah, I think we have. I mean, clearly things aren't what they used to be. But looking at Coventry University, who does a lot of work on engineering, I've just been talking to people from Coventry College, and they're doing an awful lot on engineering as well. The future is bright. I mean, there's a lot of hits we take, but we no longer make the cars in the numbers we used to make them, but the skills are still being produced here. We're still training people here. We've still got apprentices here. I think the future's bright in regards to any other city. This is the heart. This is the beating heart of cars.
That's great to hear. And I have a question I ask everybody on this show. If you could bring back a car or a brand from Coventry's automotive history, what would you bring back?
You know, I really like the Elvis, the old Elvis cars. I used to work for them when they make Scorpion tanks, and the cars so long disappear, but they're just beautiful things. And I think the E-Type will be second. But yeah, Elvis cars, you don't see too many of those around, and people don't really know what they are. But it is a Coventry vehicle through and through, and I'd love to see Elvis come back.
I think most people just think it's a retail park now, and that's all.
It is. Who knows if the underground is still there? There was an underground factory underneath it. World War II, they used to make things underneath. There was a bit of a hospital there and all sorts of things. It is a retail park now, but every time I go in there, I always say I'm going to the Elvis business park. I don't forget it.
Sounds like you've got a deep-rooted love of the industry as well as a love of the city.
It's my heart. I mean, my whole life has been around the industry, sometimes in IT, but yeah, whether it's Scorpion tanks, whether it's Jaguar XJSs or whatever it is, if it's on wheels, I like it.
And what place does the local authority play in supporting the future of industry?
It plays a lot of part because it obviously helps with sight and everything. I mean, you think of the London taxi cab, there were a lot of work done by Coventry Council to make sure they had what they needed to have. And obviously we support other companies. We support the university. University needs our support and help, as does Jaguar. JLR support the university. This is where the future lies. The future workers, the engineers, the designers, they're coming from Coventry. So the authority is involved, not as much as it would have been years ago, but it still sees it as an important part of our city.
One final question.
Sure.
What's your favourite car you've seen here today?
Ford Capri. I'm sorry.
It's not a Coventry car.
I know, but I love the Capri. I love the design. I love the E-Type as well. We're standing almost next to an E-Type, the most beautiful looking cars, one of the best cars ever. But my dad owned a Ford Capri and I used to love driving around in it. I loved it. But yeah, E-Type. Can I just say it's E-Type, really, honestly?
Should we backtrack and re-record that section? Perfect, thank you. What's clear listening to Roger is that although the manufacturers have changed and the factories may employ fewer people than they once did, the skills and engineering talent that emerges from the city is still strong. The city's relationship with the motor car has never really disappeared, it's simply evolved. As we come to learn more through this series about this relationship, to fully understand it, we need to travel back to the early days of the industry, learning from the pioneers who helped establish Coventry as one of the most important automotive centres in Britain.
Yeah. So I'm Mike Riley from the Riley Cars Archive Heritage Trust. I head up the archive, which is at Coventry Canal Basin. It's a small unit, but it's an archive. It's not a museum. It's an archive pulling together all memorabilia, photographs of past years to keep the name of Riley's alive. We're doing really well. Been there 6 years now. And it's at a location where Riley Cars started as a cycle company in 1890. And we're 100 yards from where the factory was on the Canal Basin.
Is there any relation to the Riley family?
The founder, William Riley, I'm first cousins with William, 3 or 4 times removed. His great-grandchildren are my third cousins, fourth cousins and whatever. So, so we're based in the Canal Basin, close to where it all happened as a cycle company. It was started, it was the baby of Victor Riley, who unfortunately passed away last August. He was a man who's known throughout the motoring world, not just Riley's, by so many people, a real gentleman, and so it's our aim to keep that going, keep it alive, keep the Riley name alive. They were weavers originally out in Belgreen, Coventry, where they lived, the family lived, big family. And then in the 1850s, they came into Coventry as weavers, rented a property in St. Nicholas Street by the Canal Basin, and they got really renowned for the trade. Now, in the late 1880s, the government took the tariffs off imports in weaving, and it collapsed in Coventry. And at this point, he was advised by some of his friends in the cycle trade, get into bicycles, because, it's the in thing. Everybody wants one. So over a period of just a few years, and then in 1890, he purchased the Bonnet Cycle Company, an existing company, which was struggling a little bit. And at that point, they started making cycles for 6 years under the Bonnet badge. Then they created the Riley Cycle Company in 1896. And it was at that point, it took off, and they were doing really well, selling bikes by the thousands, making them there by the thousands throughout Coventry and further afield. Now, it was that point that one of his 5 sons, Percy, wanted to make a car. He'd seen the Daimlers going backwards and forwards. They lived close to the factory at the Canal Basin. Percy wanted to make a car. Now, his father said, it's never going to happen. This motor car business is never going to happen. We've got bicycles. We're making those, making lots of money. We've got horse and cart still. And he had one of the best in Coventry. But anyway, it's never going to happen. But then, and then somehow he got into the cycle works. We think his mother probably helped him, talked his father around. And over a 2-year period, he designed and built with an engine, designed an engine, one of the first cars in Coventry. If you take away the Daimler, it probably was one of the first cars to be designed and built in Coventry.
They obviously made under license from
Yeah,
Daimler and Germany.
that's it. Yeah. So over a 2-year period, he designed it and actually built one. Then with his elder brother, Victor, they took it to Stratford and back to see if it would work, which it did. And the aim was to beat the speed of the fastest cyclist of the day. And they did that and come back. And that was it, a solo run.
Yeah.
And then he proved a point. Now, the interesting or fascinating thing was he was 16 years of age when he started it, 18 when he finished it. It was just amazing. He then, very quiet man, but he then wanted to make engines to supply the father for his bikes, motorbikes, and tricycles and quad cycles, all with a simple engine. He, at the age of, I think he'd be about 19 or so then, well, even 20, at Cook Gate, which is funny enough where we're standing, it's just over the road there. He got premises and started making engines, and then convinced after a bit of time to get the father to buy them to put on a motorbike. We had the first motorbikes. But at that point of his age, he wasn't old enough to be a business person. He had to be 21. So his two older brothers kind of created the business and bought the materials and what have you. And then they started taking off, and the father had to accept it in the end that things were going that way.
It's a relatively common story, actually, that I'm finding. This more is that we think of the car industry as almost like a bit of an old-fashioned, old English industry that's quite set in its ways, run by old people. But actually, the early days was very much like modern startups, young people that were really enthusiastic and trying to do things differently to what happened previously. As a story that doesn't really get captured.
But at that age, I mean, he was 16, started 18 when he finished it. He's probably thinking about it when he was 15.
Yeah.
He's still going to school at Henry VIII up on the Warwick Road there.
Wow.
Or Kenilworth Road, or what it is, and. And then all through the decades, he was the leader in design and what have you. Very quiet man. Didn't do interviews, didn't talk to anyone, didn't do reports. There's nothing at all that he's done. He just got his head down and then designed really famous engines of the day. One being the Riley 9 engine, which took the world by storm, really, and is in a lot of the cars. But as a family business, Coventry family business. Unbelievable, really, the way it's still alive with clubs and cars all over the world.
So, any particular cars that you'd highlight as standouts from the history?
Yeah, the pretty cars, as they call them in the day, the MP08, and I like some of the sporty cars, and all the cars you can see. Those are all pre-war. In 1938, they did sell out. The company was struggling. War was about to start, and they then sold the company to Lord Nuffield from Morris, and that was the start of him getting them all together. Your Austin Morris, Wolseley's, and MGs, and become BMC.
Yeah.
So up to and then after the war, to I think it was 47 or 48, they were all made at Durbar Avenue, which was the main production plant, before going to Abingdon. And there was lost. So all these cars you can see this side are pre-war. The one on that side, which happens to be mine, is post-war. Yeah, so 1959.
The Coventry cars.
Those are all made in Coventry. Those, yeah.
What do you think of an event like MotoFest that we're at today? Do you think this is?
Well, it's the first time we've been really involved in it. We had a couple of chances a few years ago, but then COVID messed things up and what have you. But I've not had a chance to walk around. But I mean, there's a lot of people walking around looking, and it's probably done the archive a lot of good. Being here, because we're at the Canal Basin. There's a lot of people. I've never been there or if they have years ago. It's really a nice place now with Portuguese cuisine there and playwrights who used to be by the museum.
Yeah,
there's a couple of supermarkets you kind of play. It's a real nice place to go and have a drink or a meal. Yeah.
And what does the future hold for you as a trust? What are your objectives? What are you trying to achieve?
Well, the trust is to keep the name alive, obviously.
Yeah.
And by being a trust, we're not a club, just a central point.
Yeah.
To keep the name alive. As an archive, our biggest project has been the last few years, and it's really motoring now, is that very first car we talked about, which is the Percy car, as we refer to it.
Okay. You have that car?
Sorry?
Do you have that car?
No, the original car, the last trace we found of it was in 1910, because the company sold it to one of their suppliers, and they wanted a special car. And we found it in a newspaper over there, Belfast. I forget what it was, Gazette or whatever, in 1910 for sale.
Wow.
And that's got no recollection. Well, there's nothing after that.
Wow.
So whether it got swallowed up into the war effort, First World War effort, the metal and what have you. But as far as a colleague of ours, part of the trust, built a replica from 2 photographs we've got.
Oh, wow.
And we're now deeply into getting an engine made for it. We've got a picture of the engine, no drawings or anything. And we've got a team of qualified engineers, mainly elderly people. And they've, the parts for that are starting to come in to build it. New chassis has been built. And so that we're hoping by the spring that's going to be up and running.
Fantastic.
As a motor.
Yeah.
And we would like to do that repeat journey to Stratford and back. We've got to arrange escorts with police and all sorts. We've got someone who knows all about that side. So that's our big project. Because we're a charity trust, we've had to raise everything through donations and we needed quite a big figure to get one engine made.
Yeah.
But we're doing all right. We're on track, on course, and that'll be a bit of an eye-opener when it's done. Yeah.
You've got an event coming up in September as well?
Yeah, in September, we spoke about Victor Riley, who was the grandson of the Riley, the founder of founder of Riley's. And he's so well known. So on 12th of September, we are having a tribute day. And it includes starting off at 10 in the morning with a display of 30 or 40 Riley cars out in front of the museum here, the Motor Museum. At that point, when that's come 1 o'clock, we are then going to all move inside. The cars will go around into the secure compound at the back.
Yeah.
Anyone bringing a Riley car. And then we're inside for presentations and tributes to Victor and footage of old rallies and what have you. And then at 4:30-ish, we're having a sit-down hot meal. And the museum themselves, anybody who does stop for the day will get free entry into the museum. And so with the meal and the entry into the museum, we've managed to do it for £48 per ticket. It should be a cracking day, and it gives the archive a little bit of funding out of that.
Yeah. Good way to celebrate.
And he would be looking down on us and really appreciate it. So just to say, if anybody still wants to come in the morning to see the cars or bring a Riley car, they're most welcome, no cost. But if you want to stay the day and see everything, we can seat up to 200 people. And we're working on 120, but we think it's going to be more than that.
Sounds great. Well, good luck for the event.
No, thank you.
Keep the name alive.
Yeah.
Super.
Brilliant.
The story of Riley cars still sounds relevant today. An innovative new entrant defying the odds to build something new and unexpected. More than a century later, the technology has changed beyond recognition, but the enthusiasm feels remarkably similar. Close to Coventry's historic cathedral in University Square, one of the most impressive displays of MotoFest was gathered to celebrate a very different era of Coventry's automotive history, the Jaguar XJ40.
My name's Paul Keating and I'm the founder of the XJ40 Register, and I've been arranging the XJ40 celebrations part 1 here in Coventry.
So why are we celebrating the XJ40 today?
Well, this is why we're celebrating it is in 1986 XJ40 was launched, so this is the 40th anniversary, so it's a big year for us, 40 at 40. We've brought the cars here to celebrate this big anniversary. For the 30th we took them up to Scotland where they were launched, so 40 bringing them back home where they were built.
So how many cars have you got here on display?
We have 57 cars here, which is the most XJ40s gathered globally in one place since they left production and stock in Jaguar in 1994. The previous record was 38, which was set in 2016 at XJ40 at 30. So yeah, we broke a little record here.
Excellent. So you're kind of setting the bar quite high then for XJ40 or 50.
Yeah, we're going to have to better it for 50, so I'm going to have to work on building up to that.
So where's the love for XJ40s come from for you?
Oh, from childhood, I was born at the same time as XJ40, so I'm turning 40 with the cars. My mum and dad were always Jaguar owners. They had Series 3s, and when the XJ40 was launched, they were launch customers. And during production run, they had 4 XJ40s, so I grew up with the cars. So even though I was young, and I think they sold their last one when I was about 12, they made an impression that lasted a lifetime. They were a constant growing up, went into school, went on holidays. My dad's from Liverpool, my mum's from Edinburgh, so up and down the M6 with a cassette on. XJ40 was we spent so much time in them, and it was just something that no other car that they had after it gripped as much as what these cars did. So yeah.
When did you get your first one?
I bought mine first one. I've got 3 just now, and I bought the first one 17 years ago. So still got it, and I bought it at a time when things were just a little bit rough in life, and I just thought I just want to buy something. I always promised myself a 40. I'd taken on a mortgage and thought, should I buy an old car? But I just saw one, I thought I like that, and that was it. And so now I've got 3, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I love them.
We're sitting in the back of one of yours at the moment. You maybe tell us a bit about this car.
Yeah, so this is minty. So this is quite a special car actually. In 1993 and 1994, Jaguar created a special trim called Insignia, and what that meant is that it was a cosmetic brochure where you could have your cars in some quite vibrant colours, but not just the exterior, the interior too. So this car that we're sitting in is in a colour called peppermint. It is a very mint green, and they only made 8 in this colour, and I've traced all 8. Only 3 survive. This car was owned by Jaguar Cars, so it was specified to Daimler spec, but it's on a sovereign badge. So it spent first year at Browns Lane, 10 years or so in the UK, and then it went over to the Netherlands to live, and I bought it from Dutch owners and I brought it back. So yeah, so out of the 8 that they built, this is only one of the 3 that survive, so it's quite a special car.
Quite a rare one. It's a fantastic colour. Yeah.
It is.
In the world of grey and white and black cars that we see everywhere now, seeing one in such a
good to have a splash of colour.
Unique colour is great. And as you can see that looking around the display here, that there is a fair mix of dark and plain colours, but there's also a lot of interesting colours.
Yeah.
It's not just a sea of grey. There's reds and greens and others as well.
There is. Through each generation of Jaguar, there is a favoured combination, such as on the X350 that they made from 2002 to 2009, they were predominantly black, but on XJ40, black is one of the rarest colours. So as the decades progressed, times changed. But what you find with XJ40 is the buyers at the time favoured darker, more subdued colours. And it's one of the reasons why Insignia wasn't a big seller. The colours were a bit too out there for the more conservative owner. So it made them rarer, but it just went a bit too far for the people at the time.
That makes sense. So that brings me on to quite an interesting question, I guess, about the legacy of XJ40. Is maybe a bit of a controversial car in the history of Jaguar?
Absolutely.
Maybe give me a quick sort of overview of that and what your opinion is on the changing perception of the car since 1986 to today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the car originated a good amount of time before it was actually launched in 86. It was back in the 70s. It had a very, very long gestation period. And then Sir John Egan joined Jaguar. And when he got in there, it was an old design. It had been going through the motions for so long. And he's quite open about it. He wanted to start afresh, take a different shape, and go with something new. He wanted to get Jaguar away from British Leyland, go it on its own, and in turn take XJ40 in a new direction. But it was Sir William. These cars were the last input that Sir William Lyons had, and there's actually a famous photo of a mock-up of one of these in 1983-84 on his driveway, and it was actually him that said to Sir John, no, you will progress with this, it will go. And back then,
You did
You
what he
did
said.
what your boss
Yeah.
told you. And so they put more work into it. And in 1986, and it was unveiled any seat, but the cars were physically out there for testing in Dunkeld in Scotland. So there was a long period where there were information, but at the time, it was such a big contrast from its predecessor, the Series 3, which had the sculptured bonnets. It was all the curves. Where the XJ40 was very angular. It was not like what came before it. It had the vacuum fluorescent dashes, which was, the style at the time. The public were, they sold very well. They made nearly 209,000, but it was a breakaway from what people knew. And it took a while for them to get there. And I remember when I bought my car 17 years ago, people laughed at it. And it was not nice. And they said, 40. And now you look at us here, and there's 57. And yet there's probably more people in University Square than there is at any other part. And folk are loving them. And the perception's changing. And it's good to see them getting appreciation, and not just that, all the owners and enthusiasts who keep them on the road up to 40 years later. It's great.
What do you think about the local connection here? You're obviously in Coventry, not the original home of Jaguar, obviously, but the spiritual home of Jaguar, having been here for such a long time. The cars are made here. Do you think that there's a increased public interest because of that local connection at an event like this?
I think there is. I've been into Jags all my life, and I've found that the people of Coventry are really, really proud of the rich motoring and engineering history, and so they should be. And that's one of the reasons why the fantastic MotoFest takes place here and just takes over a city centre and brings in so many cars. And the truth is said for Jaguar as well. Every car is branded with Jaguar Cars of Coventry, and it was one of the big reasons as to why I made part one, bringing the cars home for their 40th, because this is their home, and this is where they were born.
How do you feel coming to Coventry, being such an enthusiast about Jaguar?
It's brilliant. It feels right. We haven't done Dunkeld 10 years ago. There was the historical significance, but to actually bring them back to their home, I'm delighted. And to see, right now we're sitting in this car and we're surrounded by folk. There's 40s from Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, and Sweden, and everybody's enthused, and it's great. Really happy.
So what else have you got planned for the XJ40 at 40 celebration? What comes next for that?
So we're here in University Square at the base of the cathedral. So tomorrow what we're doing is we're taking all the cars to Wappenbury Hall, which was the mansion that was owned by Sir William Lyons. The owner, Scott Sherman, big Jag fan, who has very kindly opened his private home to allow us to visit, recreate the XJ40 photos. Part 2 is taking place in Billerbeck in Germany in September, because most XJ40s were exported. The biggest market was the USA, but most of the survivors, due to better climates, lack of salty roads, most survivors are abroad. So Germany is to celebrate the exported and international cars. And in part 3, the final part, which will be from me, is going to be taking place at the NEC Classic Car Show in November. So we've got a stand with some pretty good cars lined up, and it's going to be the one last push to celebrate the special year.
So I have one question I ask everybody at the end of these kind of interviews. I think I can already understand what your answer is going to be before you even give it. Ask people, if you could bring back a car or brand from the history of Coventry in the automotive sector, what would it be? And I could maybe for you say you're not allowed to say an XJ40.
Oh, so what kind of car would I like? I don't know. I like what the car companies are doing right now. You know how they're bringing back restyle versions like the Renault 5 and all that?
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely here for that. Just because something's old and they've been moved on, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to throw it away. You can have a modern take. And again, what we find with the XJ40 is that people that are now my age remember their mum and dad, granny and granddad. But when you think of like Renault, and people will be thinking, I maybe had that as my first car, and then they're the 60s. So I like the new take on nostalgia. So maybe I'd like to see even Jaguar, maybe if it's not a series, an XJ40, but even if they did something like a bring back of an older shape like the Series 3 or XJS, but with a modern take, where you could still say, I know what that stemmed from, but it just had all the mod cons. So I think sometimes appreciating and reinventing history, it's not a bad thing.
Good way to end. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
A short walk away inside the ruins of Coventry's historic cathedral was a diverse mix of cars displayed for the annual concours competition. I discovered, speaking to the judging panel, that perfection wasn't necessarily what they were looking for. Sometimes the story behind a car can be just as important as the car itself.
Hi, my name's Dominic Taylor-Lane. I am founder of the Association of Heritage Engineers, which has been part of the organisation of this event from its inception. And I am, I believe, head judge.
My name is Ian Tyrrell. I've been fixing cars for longer than I should really admit to now. And I have a workshop based in Chester, which works on and services and restores exotic cars and other cars. And I have a YouTube channel called Tyrrell's Classic Workshop.
Hi, my name's Mark Allen. I'm a kind of a petrol head on the side, really, and honoured to be with these two gentlemen also today as well, because really I work in the world of art and antiques, and I'm a specialist on BBC's Antiques Roadshow. That takes me into all kind of walks of life and different worlds of collectibles, and kind of cars are a spin-off of that. And I'm an old Coventry kid too.
Perfect. We'll come on to that in just a moment. First question, let's ask about the judging of a show like this, because we're in a location that's pretty unique as locations go for a concours, and the mix of cars that we have here are not what you would typically expect to see at this kind of competition. What do you look for when you're judging this event?
When we started this off, it was initially we were based around cars that were either made or have a history as part of the amazing motoring heritage that is Coventry. And it was always about being a popular public-facing event that we wanted to get as many people involved in as we could. And even on an overcast day like today, we have had lots and lots of people here. And we're just pulling in cars that people have a passion for. There are some amazing looking ones, but we're not just looking for concours cars. We're looking for stories. We're looking for personalities. And that's what makes this event unique in any kind of concours event, really.
Yeah, no, I think we're loving the eclecticism of this collection today, because, as you know, Dom just said, really we've kind of outside of the Coventry box today, really, aren't we? You know, pulled in lots of different marks, and we're really loving the stories with some of the owners. People are very passionate about their cars. Some of these are just daily drivers. Some literally never come out of the garage, I think. But you know, we're interested in all of those facets, aren't we, Ian?
Yes, I would say so. I mean, just to reiterate, it is a stunning setting here in the old the cathedral, the old cathedral building, and this is the first year that we've had cars outside of the sort of Coventry sphere, if you like, that weren't manufactured here or closely related thereto. And I think it's just an absolute pleasure to meet the owners, get up close and personal with all these interesting cars, and some of them do have very, very interesting stories to tell.
Anything in particular that surprised you, Ian, when you've been chatting to the owners?
I think, one of the cars that is a standout car for me is the Edsel, the huge Edsel, which is a Ford by another name. And you can look up the notoriety of Edsel on the internet. Far be it from me to explain it now, but I just love the fact that car. It's a car I've never seen in the flesh before, and it's almost 19 feet long. It's a larger than life piece of machinery in every sense of the word, and the owner bought it sort of almost on spec, with sight unseen, and he's delighted with his achievement. And you know, it's just a very, very interesting bit of Americana.
Tom, you're involved in preservation of historic skills for maintaining historic cars. What do you see as the level of interest in younger people coming into this industry? And do events like this today help to embed car culture with younger people?
This particular event and this particular mix of cars, particularly this year, we have got some younger owners here. I'm at a stage where just about everybody's younger than me now, but it's a case of ownership is changing, age of owners is changing, and the aspiration of those owners based on how old they are is changing. But what we are seeing coming through that all is it doesn't matter what age the car is, the passion is still there, whatever age these people are, from a Volkswagen Golf GTI with an amazing story through to Aston Martins and Jaguars. Each generation has their story to tell on this stuff, and providing they are supported in doing that, that passion will just carry on.
So, Mark, you mentioned that you're a bit of a Coventry kid. Maybe give me a quick overview of your history.
Yeah, no, Coventry has a very nostalgic kind of feeling for me. I grew up as a youngster in Coventry on the Ernsford Grange estate. And my father was a quantity surveyor for Coventry Corporation. And because of that, basically, I would kind of be on his coattails coming into the city, and I'd be at the Herbert Art Gallery and, working on he'd be working on the Motor Museum, for instance, and many major projects. So my father largely shaped a lot of the kind of 70s and 80s architecture in Coventry. Going to see Father Christmas in Owen Owen's department store, those are all big memories for me. But also my dad was into cars too. And so, even as a youngster, sitting on the drive basically with him, repainting the fenders on a Ford Pop with silver paint because all the chrome had come off, it was kind of instilled in me really. And that's what I love about coming back to Coventry, that sense of nostalgia, those memories, and coming to an event like this is just perfect for me.
And how do you see cars as objects of art, not just as means of transport?
Well, it's interesting for me because working in the art and antiques business as well, cars have many facets to them. It's not just about the physicality of the car itself. It's about the design, and it's about all the kind of bits and pieces that go with cars. Everything from the badges to the mascots to the picnic hampers, all of those things, even to the Silverson Christophers that get screwed on the dashboards. All of those bits are, automobilia. It all ties in for me with artists, designers. Why aren't they allied to each other? Well, of course they are absolutely allied to each other. And, I'm sure Ian has some real views on that as well.
A word that you don't hear these days is coach building. And there are some beautiful examples of coach building here, right going back to a car there with an old horn that you squeeze the bulb on to get a note. I mean, it's actually gone noticeably quiet. It's been making its presence felt quite a lot today. All the kids love to make a noise, of course, and what a way to do it on a coach-built, very early 20th century car. We got the beautiful little Triumph, which has a Vignale, a very famous Italian coach builder, and that car just presents beautifully. The owner's done a fantastic job. There really is, if you're even peripherally involved in the art of cars, as Mark was talking about, there is something for everybody here. Really, there really is. It's a family event. There's no airs and graces about it. The public can come in and get up close and personal with the cars, and it's just great to see the kids savouring these cars, possibly for the first time.
What do you think the future looks like for enthusiasm for classic cars? Do you think that there's a need to do more to try and engage people in this part of the market, or do you think that the market is quite buoyant at the moment?
I think the future is looking very good. I mean, petrol, contrary to what the politicians may try and say, I think petrol is going to be with us for a considerable time yet. And, it's in popular culture, classic cars are still a statement of beauty and all that is good and true. You look at TV adverts. Like 30% of TV adverts have got a classic car in them. And that's because they give out such a great vibe, such a great message. And you don't have to be a billionaire to own a classic car. There are entry-level cars that can be bought for £1,000, £1,500, £2,000, the MGs or an Audi TT or something. They're here to stay for a good while yet, classic cars.
Good to hear.
I think generationally, there's kind of, in the world of art and antiques, we see everything around collecting kind of changed by everything from economics to fashion. And I think there are always swings in the market depending on what people like generationally. And I can be a little bit disparaging about some of the youngsters in my local town with the cherry bombs on their hot hatches. But I still look at them and think, these are the next generation of car collectors. What are they going to be buying next? And I think, you're absolutely right, Ian. I think there's a long ways to go yet.
And those people, that demographic, has always existed. If you go back in 10-year intervals, back to the 1960s, people would have been going around with minis with cherry bombs on that maybe 20 years later they're buying an Aston Martin.
Absolutely, exactly. And I was the same when I was a youngster too.
Me too.
I think it's one of those things where it's all very well saying to young people that they need to be involved with classic cars. First off, it's highly unlikely you're ever going to want what your parents are driving at the same time. You're going to want to do, something a bit differently. And it's a case of supporting that, whatever it may be, encouraging that. And as you say, that will lead on ultimately. But you have got the generational shift now where people are buying into cars that they aspired to own when they were kids. And if you were born in the 1990s, your aspiration is different to if you were born in the 50s. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's different.
Okay, I've got one last question. If you could bring back a car brand or individual car from Coventry's automotive history, what would you bring back?
I'm going to start this because I have owned an Alvis TD21 drop head. Beautiful, beautiful car. Alvis would be my brand.
You're the second person to have said Alvis today.
Well, I'm going to be very contentious and mix it up a little and say Jaguar, because Jaguar have lost their way, shall we say. Unfortunately, just things have got a little awkward with Jaguar, shall we say. That is very sad, bearing in mind the rich history that Jaguar have got. I'd just like to see Jaguar get their mojo back, basically.
It's a brand that's got a lot of love, isn't it, in the community?
Well, I think actually I'd have to agree with Dom a bit really on this. Kind of red triangle services were down the bottom of the hill where I lived in Kenilworth. So I was always looking at Alvis's on the way to school. But I think I'd go a little bit off piste. I'd probably go down the military route with Alvis and Resto Mods, so one of their bloody great military vehicles. I think that would be really, really good fun.
Perfect. Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
MotorFest has always been about more than just static displays. As you walk around the city centre, the atmosphere changes from one street to the next. One moment you're looking at beautifully restored classic cars inside the historic cathedral. The next you can hear tyres working hard beneath the ring road. Tucked away beneath Coventry's infamous orbital loop, the team from Loughborough Car Club ran an event that brought the dynamic element of MotorFest to life.
My name's Richard and I'm from Loughborough Car Club.
Richard, could you give me a quick overview of what the event today looks like for you, what the format is, what kind of cars are being entered?
Right, this is an event specifically for road legal cars. They have to be driven to the event. We've got a slalom course laid out, which they tackle all going forwards, and it's designed to allow people to throw the car about a bit, compete against each other, but not do any damage. Apart from a bit of tyre wear, there'll be no damage.
So all these people, they've driven the cars here on the public roads, they're driving home again at the end, so they're going to be quite careful with how they're driving and not doing too much damage.
One would like to think so. In practice, when the red mist comes down, they probably go for it, but the courses are designed not to do any harm.
So the layout of the course is, I guess, quite punishing in that you've got some very large concrete pillars supporting the ring road, which was stood underneath. Is that quite unique for this kind of event?
It is unique for this event. All the others we run are on a huge open flat piece of tarmac, so this is more challenging. But the course design, if you actually walk around it, you'll see that it doesn't ever lead the drivers to be throwing the car towards a cone. So the cars are protected.
And do they run on the same layout for the whole day, or do you change the layout around through the day?
No, we changed the layout. This first layout, they'll do 4 times, best 3 times to count. And then we'll reverse the course. The start will become the finish. And we'll do 4 runs at that, drop a cut score. Then over the lunch break, we'll rearrange it very slightly so it's a different layout. And we'll do the same again this afternoon. So at the end of the day, people have done 16 runs on 4 different courses.
That's good variety for them through the day. Must be quite a good value from that point of view.
It is. You get quite a lot of track time. It doesn't cost a lot. I mean, the entry fee for today is £43.
Good value motorsport.
Oh yeah, this is budget stuff. This is where the clubman can go without breaking the bank.
And what's the difference with the event that's happening tomorrow? You've got a different format that's happening tomorrow.
Tomorrow is a thing called an auto test, which is a lot more complex. The tests are tighter, they have more manoeuvres, it includes reversing, and the cars are lightweight specials, which are so far from road legal. They all arrive on a trailer. So it's a completely different event.
Are there any specific unique features that those cars have got that you wouldn't normally expect to see on either a race car or a road car to enable them to have that tight manoeuvrability?
Yes, they do all sorts of clever stuff with the suspension geometry to get more lock, to get lots of grip at the front when you're powering out of the corners. Traction is important, far more important than it is on a race car, and drivability. So nobody's here with massive power. What they want is lots of torque and drivability.
And how long have you as a club been supporting MotoFest? Has this been a regular part of your calendar, or is it quite new for you?
It has been for probably 8 or 10 years now. I lose track, but it's that sort of. We've been here quite a long time.
So you've seen quite a lot of changes to the event over that time. Has it always been a consistent thing for you with taking this location and running here under the ring road?
Well, we're very sort of isolated because you're busy running the event. It wasn't till last year that my wife and I found time to go and walk around some of the other stuff and realised how much was going on around us. It's very easy to be in a little bubble doing your own thing.
That's good. Well, that's a great setup, and thanks for taking the time for a quick chat.
Great pleasure. No problem.
This year at MotorFest, perhaps more than in years before, there was another conversation taking place, one about the future of automotive skills. Coventry's relationship with the automotive industry has always been built on skills, from the early days when transitioning from sewing machine manufacture to the boom years through the 20th century. While the industry may look very different today, the need for skilled people hasn't gone away. If anything, it's becoming more important than ever. Coventry College had a huge presence at the event with an impressive display in Broadgate. I spent some time with them to find out how the next generation is preparing for an industry that's changing faster than ever before.
Hi, so my name's Amir. I am the curriculum lead at Coventry College. I look at the automotive courses. So the courses that we run, we're looking at body and paint courses. We do like vehicle maintenance. We're running some EV courses here at the moment. I sort of manage the curriculum delivery, the content. We do a bit of pastoral, just a general anything to do with the course.
So what's the reason for being at MotorFest this weekend?
So with MotorFest, obviously, Coventry has a rich background when it comes to automotive. So with Coventry College, what we're trying to do is we're trying to promote the automotive courses. Our numbers are growing year on end. And, you know, what we find is a lot of the public don't know, what automotive is. A lot of school leavers, they don't understand that this is an option as well. Growing up, it was always A-levels, university, people don't know that there's another option out there. So what we've got here is obviously we've got one tent with the EV rigs in there. We've got an old engine, diesel engine, and we've got an EV rig there. And the idea is to sort of show people the contrast between the two and, the way the car industry is heading. In the main centre gazebo, we've got some of our panels. So a lot of our learners have been working on panels that they've produced over the years. We've sort of got their work on display, but then we've also got a project car that the learners have been sort of getting ready for this event. And the idea was for them to be able to do live demonstration and sort of showcase what the industry is sort of about. But then also we've got a tyre changing game, so just to sort of draw young people in.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a challenge with a prize.
Yeah,
just see who can do change the wheel in this amount of time. The idea is to sort of get the public coming over, asking questions, and sort of promoting the college, in a positive light.
Do you think young people still find the automotive industry attractive?
I think so. What I've seen personally over the last couple of years. I mean, I've been at the college for the last 3 or 4 years, and what I've noticed is we have a lot of females coming into the trade now as well.
Yeah.
As you can see, we've got 2 females in the live demonstrations. There's a lot more interest now from the learners, but the issues that I'm seeing firsthand is we haven't got enough employers coming on board to sort of convert these learners into the actual work environment.
So what kind of companies are you looking for? Are you talking about
So
vehicle
where we're-
manufacturers or service centres?
We're looking across the board. So what we had last year, we did a World of Work week where we had a lot of different employers. So we had automotive employers, we had companies from the air industry. So we had companies like Ryanair coming in, Rolling Stock. So we had West Midlands Trains coming in, and the idea is to sort of, although the courses are run on, automotive cars, they're transferable skills. So they can be taken into the air industry and they can be taken. So, I mean, if you look at an engine, a car mechanic can easily be converted into working on an aeroplane engine. Yeah, because it's all Rolls-Royce. So we had representatives from Rolls-Royce there as well. I think we're reaching out to a lot more employers, sort of inviting them in, because, these guys are the future.
Yeah. So what kind of skills are employers looking for now? I assume that things have changed in the last 20 years or so in terms of what they need young people to be educated in. Can you kind of highlight what new skills somebody that's coming to this kind of course now would have to have compared to 20 years ago or so?
I think with a lot of learners now, the skill set needs to be multi-skills. Whereas many years ago, you could sort of walk into a garage and say, can you train me up and I'll become an apprentice? Things have changed slightly now. You can't just walk into an automotive place. I think companies are starting to understand that they need to sort of invest into further education centres because that's their future workforce. One of the things that we're doing at Coventry is we're working with local employers across the spectrum. So, you've got your rolling stock and different industries. Where one of the things that we're doing is we're asking employers to tell us what they're looking for, and then we design our curriculum based on what they say. So if someone say, for example, I'll talk body and paint, if someone wants someone to be able to do a smart repair, although that may not be explicitly within our course handbook, so, we work with City and Guilds, we work with the IMI, it may not be as part of the course as to what we're delivering or what the course that they've enrolled on. But what we'll do is we'll adapt it to include that in the curriculum, just so that, that learner has the skills required to be able to go into the industry.
So you can tailor what you're teaching, make sure it's giving the employers exactly what they need.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of vocational education. You can tailor it to what where it needs to be.
Are there any specific misconceptions maybe the young people have got when they come into the course? They turn up and they're expecting to be doing one thing and actually the reality is slightly different?
I think the biggest issue that we've faced, and we've sort of started, so when they come in for enrolment or when we register them at the start of level 1, we sort of set their expectations. We tell them exactly what they're going to be doing at level 1. A lot of learners, as soon as they go into the workshop, they want to start stripping engines and they want to be taking out gearboxes. We manage that expectation right from the start, and we say, you've got to start from nuts and bolts and servicing, and you need to work your way up. Or in the body shop, they want to start spraying straight away. But the idea is, unless you understand what you're spraying on, you're never going to be able to achieve that finish or that quality that, without the basics.
Got to understand the theory before you jump into the practical.
Yeah. So the way we manage their expectations from the start, that helps, and that's what we're trying to improve across schools.
Sounds good. So in terms of changing technologies that you see in the automotive industry, things like electric vehicles and the amount of connected electrical systems that are in the cars, how does that change what you do as a teaching organisation? Do you have to adapt the materials that you're using or the type of topics that you're teaching?
So in terms of, obviously, when it comes to EV cars, we have someone who's an expert in that field, Alex, who's one of our tutors who teaches on the EV courses. So I'd like to give Alex the mic and let him explain, obviously, the safety aspect of EV cars.
Thanks.
So there are some basic rules which we need to have a look before we are working on the EV cars. The first rule says that never touch the orange wire. And the second thing, there's a service plug on the car. Suppose if you are doing anything, suppose if you are checking the fuse, or suppose if you are changing the fluid from the brake fluid and all. So we have to take out that service plug. And to do that process, we have to do our level 1 in EV course. So suppose if you are taking your EV course in a garage, and if a master person is working on the car, he have to do his level 1 and level 2 on the EV car before he work on that. So the level 1, we're going to talk about that, how we can isolate the car and how we can take out the service plug in a better way. And there is a process which we need to follow. And once that process is done, then now the car is safe. So we can take out the battery, we can take out the motor, we can take out the wires. And of course, the car is safe now. And then we can do every kind of things on the car. And that's the safety thing which we need to follow. So yeah, like if I compare with the petrol car to the EV car, as I think that the EV car is more safer if we know the right way to take out the current from it. And EV is the future. Yeah.
So how important is Coventry in the automotive industry, in your perspective? If I said Coventry is the centre of the automotive sector in the UK, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that statement. What we're finding is, in a lot of cities, I come from Birmingham, and we had a lot of car manufacturers, Rover, MG still running, Rover shut down, Land Rover or Jag, a lot of their production has gone overseas now. They're still doing bits here, but a lot of it's gone overseas. I think what we have in Coventry, we need to sort of preserve. And in order to be able to preserve that, we need to train the next generation. And unless we do that, and sort of employers and colleges sort of work in collaboration, is something that'll become history. And it's down to us guys to sort of preserve that. We're working with a lot of different companies. And, that's the message that we're seeing across the board. We've just got to be proactive.
Being proactive is a key point. I see a lot that companies know that there isn't an automatic pipeline of new talent coming into the industry. They need to manage that pipeline of talent themselves, which means working with colleges and universities. So there's people at all levels that are going to be coming into the industry. Otherwise, the skills will just disappear. Yes, that's where you fit as a college is supporting that kind of journey.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I did some research not long ago, and one of the things that I found was, I think the IMI did some research, and there was about 21,000. This was a couple of years ago. There was a shortage of about 21,000 people in the automotive sector. That number's only gone up now. If we look across the country, the amount of colleges that are sort of running these courses, if every single one of them went into employment, we wouldn't have a shortage.
It's clear that preservation of skills is an essential part of the ongoing reinvention of the automotive sector in the city. Coventry College are at the centre of this. As the afternoon continued, I caught up with Festival Director James Noble for a quick reflection on the day and a brief continuation of our discussion in episode 2. Here in Broadgate with James Noble, first returning guest on Motor City UK podcast. James, how's today gone so far?
Today has been wonderfully surprising because it started out in kind of massively heavy rainfall, and I have to admit, I woke up this morning and thought, what is this going to do to both the number of vehicles we have here and the crowds? And do you know what? The classic car community and car culture they're a hardy bunch. So we have almost a full showing for all of the vehicles that we had booked in, which is awesome. And now it's a bit drier. It's just full of people, which is great. So no, I'm really pleased. The concours is beautiful. There's a nice little crowd watching the motorsport. It's great.
Any surprises for you? Any cars you weren't expecting to see that have turned up?
Oh, well, I tell you what, this is a bit niche, but my favourite car here is the prototype XJ40 Estate that is here, and it's a car I have seen once before, but eyeballing that again made me go, that is the car I want to take home from this year's show.
I thought you were going to say something French. There's some slightly unusual French cars here.
There are, yes, there are. The thing is, I've got unusual French cars, so I've got a bit of a thing about estate cars. So some of you will know I used to have an amazing Citroen CX Familiale estate car, and so seeing a Jaguar XJ40 estate is that's cool.
What's the general reception of the public been as you've been speaking? Is there a good interest in what's being shown? Is there an interest in the car industry in Coventry still?
Yeah, I think that is another joy, is watching kids getting excited about what's on show here. That is fantastic. And having Coventry College on board as a sponsor this year, and they've done it partly to engage with young people. So the fact that we've got young people here getting excited about the cars, getting excited about the industry and car culture is great.
It's a very clear message from them that they need to engage with the community, get people interested in it, and an event like this seems to be the perfect way to do it.
Absolutely. So we're really pleased to be working with them. And, when you've got young people who are so often living in a digital world, to get something properly visceral and analog, like, a vehicle on four wheels, is great.
At what point do you switch off and start thinking about next year?
We've started thinking about next year already. I've got a big meeting on Tuesday about next year's event. So, we're starting to plan already. There's no switching off. It's a full-time job, but it isn't.
Something to look forward to. Thank you very much.
No, great. It's really good to see you again, Rob.
One of the things that stood out throughout the day was how often the conversation returned to people. Whether it was Roger Bailey reflecting on a lifetime spent around Coventry's motor industry, Mike Riley preserving a piece of the city's earliest automotive history, Jaguar enthusiasts bringing XJ40s back to their spiritual home, volunteers judging concours entries, competitors threading cars between the pillars beneath the ring road, or the tutors preparing students for careers that haven't even been fully defined yet. The cars may be what draw people in, but it's the people who keep the story alive, and that's what MotoFest does particularly well. It creates a space where Coventry's automotive past, present and future can exist side by side. This has been Motor City UK. I'm Rob Capaldi. Huge thanks to all of the guests featured in this episode for giving up their time during what was a very busy weekend. And of course, thanks to the event organisers for putting on a great show that highlighted the best of the UK's Motor City. You can follow this podcast on Instagram. We're at MotorCityPod, all one word, no spaces, for behind-the-scenes updates and more from the people, places and vehicles connected to Britain's original Motor City. If you've enjoyed this episode, please follow the podcast on your app of choice. Leave a review and give us a 5-star rating. It really helps more people discover these stories. Join us next time as we continue exploring the city of Coventry and its relationship with the motor car.